Tay wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked under the hood of an old truck. The desert night was quiet around his garage on the outskirts of Tucson. At 35, he had built a small but solid reputation as the mechanic who could fix anything. Most people in town called him the Wizard because of his talent with engines. Tonight, like most nights, he worked alone with only the radio for company. The sudden bright flash of light made him look up. Through the dirty windows of his garage, he saw something streak across the night sky. It wasn't a shooting star, it moved too slowly and seemed to be changing direction. Then came the crash, a distant boom that shook the tools on his workbench. Tay grabbed his flashlight and truck keys. Whatever had fallen might need help, or at least needed checking. He drove, his old pickup through the desert, following the trail of disturbed earth and broken cactus. The beam of his headlights finally caught something metallic among the rocks. It wasn't a plane or helicopter. The object was round, about the size of a small bus, with a smooth silver surface that reflected the moonlight. No wings, no wheels, nothing Tay recognized from any Earth vehicle. "Hello?" he called out, approaching slowly. "Anyone hurt in there?" A section of the smooth metal slid open with a soft hiss. Tay raised his flashlight, heart pounding in his chest. A figure stumbled out, humanoid, female but definitely not human. Her skin had a pale blue tint that seemed to shimmer slightly. Her hair was silver, not gray like an old person's, but truly silver like polished metal. "Help," she said, her voice musical and strange. Then her knees buckled. Tay rushed forward and caught her before she hit the ground. She was lighter than she looked, as if her bones were hollow. Her skin felt warm under his hands, but with an odd texture, somewhere between silk and very fine scales. "Ship. Damaged," she whispered before her eyes closed. Those eyes, Tay had seen, they were completely purple with no whites or visible pupils. He stood in the desert, holding an unconscious alien woman, staring at a crashed spaceship. This wasn't how he expected his Tuesday night to go. Getting her into his truck wasn't easy, but he managed it carefully. The ship was another problem. It was too big to move, too strange to leave. In the end, Tay covered it with the tarp he kept in his truck bed for hauling parts. Back at his garage, he laid the alien woman on the old couch in his office. He checked for injuries but found none he could recognize. Her breathing seemed steady, though faster than a human's. "What am I supposed to do with you?" he asked the silent figure. Morning came with no answers. Tay had stayed awake all night, alternating between watching his visitor and pacing. He had made coffee but hadn't drunk it. The world had changed overnight, and caffeine seemed inadequate for the situation. The alien woman stirred as sunlight streamed through the dusty windows. She sat up slowly, those purple eyes blinking at the light. She looked at Tay without fear, only curiosity. "Thank you," she said. Her voice sounded more normal now, with just a slight musical quality. "My name is Mina." "I'm Tay," he replied automatically. "Are you okay?" "I am unharmed," she said. "My ship requires repair." Tay laughed, a short, nervous sound. "I fix trucks, not spaceships." "The principles are similar," Mina said, standing up. She moved with an elegant grace. "You have tools, I have knowledge. Together we can repair my vessel." "Your ship is still out in the desert," Tay pointed out. "We must retrieve it before others find it," Mina said, suddenly urgent. "Will you help me?" Tay thought about his quiet life, his simple work, the predictable days that stretched behind and before him. Then he looked at the alien woman with silver hair and purple eyes who had literally fallen from the sky. "I'll help," he said, "but I'm going to need a bigger tow truck." Tay borrowed his friend's tow truck to retrieve the alien spacecraft. After careful planning, they waited until midnight when the desert roads were empty. The silvery craft was heavier than it looked, but they managed to secure it and cover it with tarps for the journey back to his garage. "Your workshop is primitive, but adequate," Mina observed as they rolled the spacecraft inside. Tay had cleared space by moving his current projects to the side lot. "Primitive?" Tay raised an eyebrow. "This equipment fixes anything with wheels in Arizona." Mina smiled. "I meant no offense. Sometimes simpler tools offer more versatility. When they removed the tarps, Tay could see the damage clearly. A section of the hull was cracked, and strange blue fluid leaked from what must be the engine area. The metal itself seemed almost alive, with subtle patterns flowing beneath its surface. "Can you explain how this works?" Tay asked, circling the craft with professional interest. "My ship operates on principles your science has theorized but not mastered," Mina replied. She pointed to different sections. "Energy core here, navigation system there, propulsion unit in the rear." Tay nodded, already mentally breaking down the problem. "First, we stopped that leak. For 3 days, they worked side by side. Tay discovered that his welding equipment could seal the hull if he adjusted the temperature just right. Mina showed him how to bypass damaged circuits using copper wire from his shop. "Your approach is interesting," she said, watching him improvise a repair for her navigation system using parts from an old radio. "On my world, we have machines that repair other machines. The idea of manual repair is considered outdated. Sometimes hands understand problems better than computers," Tay replied, testing his fix. The panel lit up with symbols he couldn't read. "See? It works." During breaks, they shared stories. Mina explained she came from a world called Yoon, part of a group of planets that formed the Star Alliance. "We are explorers and traders," she said. "My mission was to study Earth from orbit, not to make contact." "Why Earth?" Tay asked, sharing his sandwich with her. She had been hesitant to try human food at first, but now enjoyed it. "Your planet is unique. Most worlds with advanced life develop similar patterns, but Earth followed a different path. We find it fascinating." As they worked on the propulsion system, Ty noticed Mina watching him with increasing interest. "What?" he asked, feeling self-conscious. "Most species we encounter rely entirely on technology. They've lost the ability to solve problems without it. But you—" She gestured at his hands, blackened with alien engine fluid. "You see solutions where my people would be helpless without our tools." Tay shrugged. "Growing up poor teaches you to fix things instead of replacing them." On the 5th day, they faced their biggest challenge. The energy core was unstable. "If we can't balance it, the ship won't fly," Mina explained, concern in her purple eyes. "And an uncontrolled release could damage your city." Tay studied the pulsing blue heart of the ship. Its rhythm reminded him of something. "It's like a car, with uneven timing," he said suddenly. "The energy isn't flowing smoothly." Using a modified timing light from his shop, Tay mapped the energy pulses. Then, using tools Mina helped him create, he carefully adjusted the flow until the core hummed with a steady tone. "That's it," Mina exclaimed, her silver hair seeming to float with excitement. "How did you know?" "Engines are engines," Tay said with a modest smile. "They all have a rhythm when they're running right." That night, as they shared a meal, Mina looked at the nearly repaired ship. "We'll finish tomorrow," she said quietly. "Then I must return to my people." Tay nodded, surprised by his disappointment. "Of course. Unless—" Mina began, then stopped. "Unless what?" Tay asked. Before she could answer, an alarm sounded from inside the ship. Mina rushed to the control panel, her face suddenly pale. "We have a problem," she said. "A very serious problem." Tay rushed to the control panel where Mina was staring at a flashing red symbol. Her silver hair seemed to lose its shine and her blue skin paled to an ashy gray. "What's happening?" Tay asked, looking at the alien script that meant nothing to him. "A ship has entered Earth's atmosphere," Mina explained, her voice tight. "They're following my emergency beacon." Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, trying to shut down the signal. "Who are they?" Tay peered at the screen, which showed a blinking dot moving toward their location. "The Duri," Mina said. "They're traders who take what isn't theirs. My people have had problems with them for many years." Tay frowned. "You mean they're space pirates?" "That is a good way to describe them," Mina agreed. "They hunt damaged ships and either strip them for parts or steal their technology." "How long until they get here?" 3 hours, maybe less." Mina's purple eyes met his. "I need to tell you something, Tay. I haven't been completely honest." Tay leaned against the workbench, crossing his arms. I'm listening. I'm not just an explorer. I'm a messenger for my government. I carry important information, data that could prevent a conflict between the Star Alliance and another group of worlds. So you're like a diplomat? Yes. The information I carry is in the ship's memory core. She pointed to a small cube near the control panel. If the Duri get it, they could sell it to enemies of the Alliance. Tay rubbed his chin, leaving a smudge of grease. Then we need to finish these repairs fast. They worked frantically, racing against time. The propulsion system was nearly fixed, but the navigation computer still had problems. Without it, Mina couldn't pilot the ship safely through space. This circuit is damaged beyond repair, Mina said, holding up a burned component. Without it, I can't calculate jump points. Tay examined the piece. What does it do exactly? It processes spatial coordinates and converts them into navigation paths. Tay snapped his fingers. Wait here. He ran to the back of his garage and returned with an old GPS unit and a laptop. Maybe we can adapt these. The principles should be similar, just on a much smaller scale. Mina looked doubtful but watched as Tay carefully connected the Earth technology to her ship's systems. Using wire, solder, and parts from his electronics drawer, he created an interface between the two very different technologies. It won't be as precise as your original, he warned, but it should work for getting you away from Earth. As Mina tested the makeshift navigation system, Tay stepped outside to check the night sky. A bright light moved among the stars, growing larger. They're coming, he said when he returned. How much longer? The system is working, but the energy core needs time to reach full power, Mina replied. 1 hour, at least. We don't have an hour. Tay pointed to the radar screen where the Duri ship was clearly visible, approaching fast. Mina bit her lip. There's another option. I have a small defense system, but it's not powerful enough to stop their ship. Maybe we don't need to stop their ship, Tay said, an idea forming. We just need to confuse them long enough to escape. He grabbed his toolbox and began connecting wires to the garage's power system. Using parts from the ship and his own equipment, he built a device that pulsed with the same energy signature as Mina's craft. What is that? Mina asked. A decoy, Tay explained. It will broadcast the same signal as your ship. I'll drive it into the desert away from here. They'll follow it while you power up. Mina shook her head. It's too dangerous. The Duri are not gentle with those who interfere. I can handle myself, Tay said. And you said your mission is important. Worth the risk, right? Before Mina could argue further, they heard the sound of engines overhead. The Duri had arrived. Time's up, Tay said, grabbing the decoy and his truck keys. Get that ship ready to fly. Tay drove his truck out into the desert, the makeshift decoy on the seat beside him. He could see the Duri ship hovering above his garage, a dark shape against the night sky. It was bigger than Mina's vessel, with sharp angles that made it look predatory. The decoy hummed and pulsed with blue light. Tay had rigged it to send out the same energy signature as Mina's ship. As he drove deeper into the desert, he saw the larger ship turn and begin to follow him. His plan was working. Come on, follow me, Tay muttered, pushing his old truck faster over the rough terrain. Back at the garage, Mina worked frantically to complete the final repairs. The energy core was charging, but too slowly. She connected additional power from the garage's electrical system, bypassing safety protocols. Sparks flew from the connection points, but the core's glow intensified. Tay drove for 15 minutes before stopping in a dry riverbed. He placed the decoy on a rock and retreated to hide behind a large boulder. The Duri ship descended, landing about 50 yards away. Its size was intimidating up close, at least 3 times larger than Mina's vessel. A door opened in the ship's side and 3 figures emerged. They were humanoid, but taller than humans, with gray skin and dark protective suits. They carried weapons that glowed with the same blue energy as Mina's ship. Tay held his breath as they approached the decoy. The leader picked it up, examining it closely. Then he smashed it against the rock, and all 3 turned toward Tay's hiding place. Human, the leader called out in a deep, accented voice. We know you are there. Come out now. Tay considered his options, then slowly stood up, hands raised. "Just taking a midnight drive," he said, trying to sound casual. "Where is the ship?" the leader demanded. "And the female pilot?" "Don't know what you're talking about," Tay replied. The leader stepped closer. He was at least 7 feet tall. "The ship's energy signature led us here. You have interfered with our salvage rights." "Salvage rights?" Tay laughed. "That's a fancy way of saying stealing." The Dury raised his weapon. "Last chance. Where is the ship?" Before Tay could answer, the sound of engines filled the air. Mina's ship appeared hovering above them. Its hull gleamed in the moonlight, repairs complete. A beam of blue light shot from its underside, creating a barrier between Ty and the Dury. "Get in." Mina's voice came from a speaker on the ship. The Dury fired their weapons at the barrier, but the energy blasts dissipated against it. Tay ran toward Mina's ship as a hatch opened in its side. Behind him, he heard the Dury running back to their vessel. As Tay climbed inside, Mina was at the controls. "The defense shield won't hold them for long," she said, "and they're faster than us." Tay strapped himself into the seat beside her. "Then we need a head start." The ship rose into the night sky, accelerating quickly. The desert fell away beneath them. Through the view screen, Tay saw the lights of Tucson, then the curve of the Earth as they climbed higher. "They're following," Mina said, pointing to a display showing the Dury ship behind them. "How long until we can jump to wherever it is you go?" Tay asked. "The core needs more power for a jump," Mina replied. "We need to distract them." Tay looked at the ship's controls, noticing a pattern similar to the decoy he had built. "Can we create a false energy reading like I did with the decoy?" Mina nodded. "Yes, but it would drain power from our engines." "Not if we use their power against them," Tay said. He quickly explained his idea. Minutes later, as the Dury ship closed in, Mina activated a special pulse from her ship's communication array. The pulse matched the frequency of the Dury's weapon systems, but in reverse phase. When the Dury fired on them, their weapons overloaded, temporarily disabling their ship. The sudden energy surge fed back into Mina's vessel, giving her core the boost it needed. "It worked!" Mina exclaimed as her controls lit up green. "Jump ready in 10 seconds. Tay looked back at Earth, growing smaller below them. "Wait," he said suddenly. "My life is down there. My garage, my tools." Mina turned to him, purple eyes serious. 5 seconds, Tay. Stay or go." In a small town nestled between rolling hills, Maya worked as a dedicated librarian. Every day she carefully arranged books, helped students, and maintained the quiet sanctuary of knowledge. Her life was predictable, almost mundane, until one rainy afternoon changed everything. An old man with weathered hands and kind eyes entered the library. He seemed different from other visitors, slower, more deliberate in his movements. Maya noticed him carefully selecting a few books about local history and archaeology. When he approached the checkout desk, his hands trembled slightly as he handed her the books. "These might be my last research materials," he whispered, a hint of both sadness and excitement in his voice. Maya smiled politely and processed his borrowing, not thinking much about the encounter. Weeks passed and the old man never returned. Curiosity sparked in Maya's mind. She remembered his name from the library card, Professor Robert Thompson. Something about him seemed extraordinary, though she couldn't explain why. One morning, a large envelope arrived at the library addressed to her. Inside was a handwritten letter and an old, intricate map. The letter explained that Professor Thompson had been researching a local historical mystery about a hidden treasure supposedly buried near the town decades ago. He had spent his entire life tracking clues, and his research suggested the treasure was real. The map was complex, filled with cryptic markings and annotations. Most librarians would have dismissed it as an elaborate fiction, but Maya had always loved mysteries. Her passion for local history and her meticulous nature made her study the document carefully. Days turned into weeks as Maya investigated. She cross-referenced historical records, consulted old town archives, and slowly pieced together the puzzle. The professor's research was comprehensive, suggesting a treasure hidden by a wealthy merchant during an economic crisis in the early 1900s. What started as a casual investigation became an obsession. Maya used her research skills, combing through dusty records and connecting seemingly unrelated historical documents. She discovered subtle hints and patterns that suggested the treasure's potential location. One crisp autumn morning, she decided to explore the area indicated on the map. Armed with basic tools and the professor's detailed notes, Maya ventured into a remote woodland area near town. The landscape was rugged, with dense trees and rocky terrain. Hours of careful searching yielded nothing. Frustration began to set in, but Maya's determination didn't waver. Just as she was about to give up, she noticed an unusual rock formation that matched a specific marking on the professor's map. Carefully, she began to dig. Her hands were dirty, her clothes covered in mud, but she continued. Suddenly, her shovel hit something solid. With trembling hands, she uncovered an old metal box, slightly rusted but intact. Inside the box was a collection of rare gold coins, historical documents, and a personal journal, detailing a fascinating story of local economic survival during challenging times. The treasure was worth significantly more than mere monetary value. It was a piece of living history. The local historical society was thrilled. Maya's discovery became a major local news story. Museums became interested in preserving the artifacts, and historians praised her meticulous research and dedication. But the most unexpected reward wasn't the recognition or the historical significance. A few weeks after her discovery, Maya received another letter. This time it was from Professor Thompson's lawyer. In his will, the professor had left his entire research collection to Maya, recognizing her passion and investigative skills. The collection was extensive. Thousands of rare books, research notes, and historical documents. It was a treasure far more valuable than the gold coins she had discovered. Maya realized that her life of quiet dedication had unexpectedly led her to an extraordinary adventure. Her small act of kindness and professional curiosity had transformed her ordinary life into something remarkable. The library, once just a workplace, now felt like a gateway to endless possibilities. As she sat surrounded by the professor's research collection, Maya smiled. Sometimes the most incredible rewards come when you least expect them, hidden just beneath the surface, waiting for someone passionate enough to uncover them.